We've got flags and banners, and if you mind your manners, we might even get to standards and what they represent. So just take my voice's hand and we'll both try to understand how this Vexillantes podcast could be flagged for content. Flagged for content.
Folks, we have yet another incredible guest today. You know him as the guy who wears flag shirts. You know him as the guy with that homemade flagpole. And you know him as the guy who brought a bag of flags to your friend's dinner party, made everyone listen to him talk about vexillology. It's Graham Hauser!
Hey, good to see you. Thanks, Andy.
Hey, Graham. How's it going, man?
Good. Thanks for having me on. It's really fun to be here.
Yeah, good to see you. It's the first time I've seen you since Nava 57, so...
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah,
it was a fun weekend.
Oh, it was so much fun, dude. And I will note also, it was a little different setting than where you're at right now. You are in what seems to be a flag shed.
Yes, this is the shed of flags, as you can see. This is kind of got all my inventory here, my flag paraphernalia and swag. I even have a flag guitar, if you can see. And,
whoa!
It actually is just a bunch of stickers that I kind of put on when I found this flag book. But I got a little song. If you know it, sing along.
Right.
We've got flags for banners, and if you mind your manners, we might even get to
standards and what they represent.
Just take my voice's hand, and we'll try to understand how this vexillological podcast could be flag for content. Flag for content. I know that song. Did you write that one?
I've never heard it. Never heard it in my life. No,
it's
dude, honestly, that was
in my head all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that is surreal. That is like, first off, for the listeners and viewers, we did not plan this. Graham did say he had a little ditty, but I did not know it was going to be that. I am moved. I am touched.
Fun
I'm
stuff, yeah.
I'm glad it gets stuck in your head. You know, it gets stuck in my head, and then I feel like narcissistic about it, and I'm like, no, that stop. Like,
it's got a good step to it. Yeah,
it does. I'm even thinking of, whatever, re-recording it, not changing the lyrics, but re-recording it maybe in the new year.
I hear you. Cool.
But that's all. That's for later. Graham,
that's cool. You play music. I didn't know that until
until cool. Now, right? Yeah. First you're hearing of this, I imagine. I didn't know you wore flag shirts or jackets,
Wow. Yeah.
Graham just told me what to put in the intro. And I was like, I get if you say so.
That's what I do. Mm-hmm.
No, for those who have followed the Instagram, and I have a few more to put up, but Graham is the one that's constantly wearing the like sick jacket with the flags, like bigger flags than the patches that I have on this one, if you can see. But yeah, I don't know if you have that handy, but it's definitely in some of the pictures I got, which I'll probably put up on the video.
Yeah, I'll bring it to next conference next year.
Yeah, you better. Nava 58, you better be there.
Yep.
Because I will.
Totally. It'll be fun.
Anyway, all that aside, let's get to what's on the flagpole today. And that is our usual over and underrated flags, as you've come to expect. We have some flags with innuendo. Actually, putting it lightly, saying some flags with innuendo. But those do include Lady Liberty herself, so, stay tuned. We have some light colonizer chauvinism, and of course, that famous Pizzle. But Graham, before we get into any of that, I do like to ask my guests, what's the flag that got you into flags?
Yeah, the flag that got me into flags was when I was 18 years old. I went to Italy and got connected with a dairy farm with a family and worked there for a few weeks. And it was such a wonderful family, and they really invited me to their home, and I worked on the farm. And when I left, he gave me this milk warrior flag, and I was like, "What?"
What?
And so I've always held on to it, And I guess there's in Europe and Italy, there's certain things with I think pasteurized milk and selling it and all this stuff, and so that's what that's about. So I've always had a flag like tucked away in my life, and kind of once Donald Trump was elected, he shall not be named. We all of a sudden seeing the American flag I've seen my whole life, always pledge allegiance, always just a benign kind of thing in the background, all of a sudden became like a, whoa, what is this about this flag? All of a sudden I'm having like this all of a sudden thought about it.
More polarizing.
So that's when I discovered the word vexillology, and I was like, oh, I have a flag in my box in the back in the closet.
Yeah.
That's what this is called. And so, but I've always loved history and language and cartography and maps. And so flags are just kind of a crystallization of that stepping point. You can just click on a link of a flag and kind of go down a rabbit hole about all those interesting things about design and art and language and history. So, that's what got me into flags.
Yeah, dude, I find like a lot of us flag folks have obviously flags and usually cartography in common, but like I think language is kind of the third one generally. Like any kind of like foreign language, linguistics kind of thing. Like that's what my first love was geography. Alongside that, I studied the flags. Once I got into high school, I started studying languages, and then college even more, and like, going from there. But like, yeah, for the listeners and viewers, I could tell Graham was a kindred spirit like right away, pretty much at NAVA 57. Because like, first off, we had a really good connection. And then he was like, hey, they're selling like a Tennessee flag thing, like right downstairs. And I was like, show me.
That's yours.
Yeah. Show me immediately.
What's the flag?
I may even still owe you like 3 1s because I don't remember like.
Oh no, I think I gave you a few bucks for it. Yeah. But what was the flag that got you into flags? Was there a specific one for you, or just kind of you were interested in geography in general?
Oh wow, no one's ever asked me that. I don't. I honestly might be the Tennessee flag.
Yeah.
That got me into flags.
It's a solid one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think like it's. I've touched on this before, but like living in a state that has a good flag makes you aware a little bit like take it for granted. But also, yeah, I don't know, but it's also something that you do kind of latch onto. Like, hey, that's a cool design that I like. I see it everywhere. I don't know. Yeah,
it's probably growing up like thinking like, oh, Oregon, our flag is better than theirs. When you're looking on maps and stuff, I don't know. I can see that.
Yeah,
like,
I don't even know if I knew.
You got a good one.
I don't even know if I knew a lot of the state flags because like I was learning out of an atlas and like I think it was like more of a world atlas. I'm sure it had pages with the states, but I had a placemat with all the states, but it mostly had like the capitals and some vague statistics or something. I don't think it had the flags. But yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
Maybe Tennessee because it was the one I saw the most, and we had to pledge allegiance to like both. Like the U.S. one was higher, and then the Tennessee one.
Did you have a different?
And then we had to sing along to Rocky Top.
Oh, I love that.
Well,
song.
We didn't have to sing along to Rocky Top, but we chose to. Oh yeah, you'll always be home sweet home to me.
Mm-hmm. Good old Rocky
It's one of the
Top.
better fight songs, and it's not even our official one. It's like unofficial, but it's the one people know. Anyway,
it's a cool chord progression.
It is very cool. As someone who knows music, not me, I know how to play my theme song, and that's cool. I do. No, I want to bear down. Like, I know we have like a lot to get into today, but like, so this Milk Warriors flag, is it super common over there? Like, is this like a like guild flag or like a trade flag or?
I think it was common in the early 2000s.
Okay. Which is when you would have been.
Yeah. Late 2000s. But I really haven't been able to find too much of it online, except a few articles and a few stock photos of protests and kind of gatherings and,
Okay. So it may be like I only know like French protests and stuff, and it's usually trade unions, labor unions, and they carry the flag of that union, generally speaking.
Yeah.
Milk Warrior Forever.
And it's signed and dated. Yeah. So that's all the information I have. I found pretty much identical ones online of people waving them in photos and stuff of news stories.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it's interesting stuff. I'm super grateful for that because I encourage everyone out there who has flags to give them away freely. We can get them, but I think it helps people be like, oh yeah, this is a cool thing.
Yeah.
I got one.
That's what I ended up doing at the end of the game at NAVA 57 because I had been like trying to make a little of my money back on them. But at the end of that, I was like, fuck it. Let's just give them to everyone. It's word of mouth. It's like, you get a flag, that Oprah meme. Like, it's like, yeah, it's it can only be good. So yeah, totally. I would co-sign that encouragement. So yeah. All right. So that's the flag that got you into flags, albeit like years later, which is interesting because that's not a story we usually have. But okay, so do you want to go into your over or underrated first? Does not matter the order to me.
Okay, underrated flag. I
Okay.
think is the refugee flag. I think is an awesome flag, design wise, but also conceptually. Like just it's a represent. It's like a what nations use to represent themselves. A flag is like used to represent a nationless people, and
Right.
just seeing it at the Olympics that one year, and just seeing it around and kind of what it means just with the current state of events. It's really I think a compelling design and concept.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of us who don't know, the listeners as well, what does the refugee flag look like?
It's orange, all orange with a kind of in the lower half a thin kind of black strap kind of bar straight through it,
Yeah.
and it kind of represents the life vest, the rescue vest you would wear if in a boat or overboard. And it was a Syrian woman who designed it, I think in the Mediterranean Sea. Just her experience of just having to seek safety and everyone else. So it's just a really compelling design because we all know that emergency life
Yeah.
vest kind of look
With the black strap kind of across the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And it's, as you mentioned, like it's a case of like, I'm sure this Syrian woman, like you see it every, unfortunately, you know, but you see it like every day, at least for a few days, weeks, whatever, hopefully not too long. But you start to think like, well, okay, this is fairly representative of the folks I'm traveling with. Like people will understand, like it's in the news. People have seen this orange vest with black strap. Let's like, that would go perfectly on a flag. I may not even, as a vexillologist, I may not even put those two together, but like, I'm
Yeah.
so glad someone did because yeah, I think this flag is like, it's not only great design, but it's like, it's hugely important too, to get the word out, not just about Syrian refugees, but about, you know, refugees and
Mm-hmm.
like like amnesty stuff around the world as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a very cool, like stateless, and not even in the sense of like stateless, like you know, Kurdistan has a flag or like South Ossetia has a flag or whatever, but like a stateless just like group around the world of folks. Yeah, I think that's huge. It's not well enough known yet, but I think it will be.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's brilliant. And I think it's really important.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
yeah.
Plus, I like orange on any flag, even though it's not quite volunteer orange, but
The
and
balls. I know.
also works at not counter purposes, but you know, one's like sports pride and one is like, hey, this is a serious fucking issue.
That's a big,
So you know, maybe I'll cut that part where I equated it to volunteer orange. But anyway, maybe I won't. Yeah, you got anything else on the refugee flag?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into your overrated. I'm sure you got some stuff to say about this.
Overrated since being in Oregon. The Oregonian flag is a point of pride for a lot of Oregonians that it's double sided, the state flag. It's got the state seal on one side, state of Oregon, the date in big lettering. And on the other side, the obverse is the beaver and kind of a profile view of a beaver on a log. And people love it. That's kind of one of the first things people say, like Oregon, you know, we got the double sided flag. But I think it looks bad when it's up there because it's usually not double sided. It's like sewn.
Charitable. Yeah.
It's like the shape of the beaver is sewn into it, or the lettering is sewn on the backside. So it's not full fabric. So you see kind of like lace through it.
Do you see through it? Okay, that was going to be
Mhm.
my question because
When it's
I've never
flying.
seen one flying. I've never seen it in
Mhm.
action.
I see it a lot. They're on every kind of building around the town, around
Sure.
Portland. But that's one of them, and I think it's heavier, so it doesn't fly as freely, especially with the rain here in Oregon. It's kind of always just laying on the pole. I think that adds a little bit of weight. Probably not huge, but I'd love to see the math on that somehow.
Right.
And a third one is that it's double the price.
Yes.
Looking at flags just on the websites, and you know, a regular high quality outdoor flag is, you know, whatever, $50 or $100, and the Oregon flag is its own category. It's pretty much double because it's double sided.
Yeah, it's not easy to, because like you said, you have to either do it double sided or accept the bleed through, and I'm sure not many consumers want it to, you know, bleed through like that. So
I've got
Yeah.
one Oregon flag where it's just printed on both sides, and that works. It bleeds through. I've got one where it's sewn on both sides, and the stitches bleed through, and I've got some where it's just the state seals printed. They don't even
On
bother
both
with
sides?
the. No, they don't even bother. Yeah, they don't even bother with the beaver. So
Oh, really? So just nothing
yeah.
on the other? Yeah.
So it's just kind of inconsistent. So I'm voting for the beaver side. That's kind of my dream. That would make it simple. Let's just do that.
I think that's the obvious choice too. Have you seen the one on Flags for Good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was going to say,
definitely.
like, I think Michael designed one that was up there briefly before, like, he had like a friend who was like, hey, actually, I have this design of the beaver, and it's like a little bit more clean than the one Michael had. So he was like, yes, let's, and so they're selling that one now on Flags for Good. And it's just the beaver on both sides, like kind of stylized.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe like, I don't know. It's not my favorite, but it's far from my least favorite. The double-sided beaver, if you will. But yeah, it's the only one in the US that does that, right? As far as I know, the
exactly.
double-sided.
Yeah.
And then like there's even in the world, there's only like of like nations, there's like somewhere in South America, Paraguay. Yeah, Paraguay does. It's just a different seal on both sides. So I imagine the stitching on that one doesn't like bleed through or look, like it's a circle either way. It's just a different thing in the circle. Yeah, a beaver in a circle and state of Oregon stylized like up and around it is just, it's too much. And Oregon is too cool of a state to have that as their flag.
Well,
like, I mean, Portland, you said like Portland, they have a great flag.
Yeah,
it's not my favorite, but it's infinitely better. It's definitely one of the top city flags, I think.
Yeah, it's very satisfying.
Yeah,
totally.
Well, all right. So so Underrated was the refugee. Overrated. Graham posed this as Oregon double-sidedness in our notes. And yeah, the Milk Warriors flag. Actually, really quickly, describe the Milk Warriors flag for those who didn't get to see it.
Oh yeah, it is a shamrock, like clover leaf, and on top of it is a cow, a dairy cow, and it's a pretty smiley looking cow.
It's a very smiley cow.
Yeah. So it got some udders on it. It's a 4-leaf clover, and it says "Bon latte."
So good milk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's got the shamrock on it, which is kind of cool. I think clover's a big like feed for the cows.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
That's part of their industry.
That's the only thing that makes sense, because otherwise I couldn't think of why that clover was on there if it wasn't Irish.
Yeah, what's the Irish?
Yeah, it's like, well, the Irish and Italian flags are similar, but not, quite that close. All right, so I think we're going to take a brief commercial break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back, more with Graham Hauser here. So we're going to move into the main section of the show here. And Graham, I understand like you have a slideshow. Well, a lot of stuff to show us in any case. So if you want to kind of take the reins here, I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Thanks. Yeah, I enjoy compiling kind of flags, concepts. I've done flags with bees, flags with instruments, and I've kind of saw flags with nudity. There's this poster on Reddit who makes awesome kind of compilations of things, and kind of went off his and kind of went down the Wikipedia rabbit hole checking what he'd put on. I was like, wow, what else is there? So I've kind of been thinking about all this, but I want to say that, like, flags with nudity, it involves these concepts of like sexuality and gender roles, and are rooted in kind of our tension, our cultural taboo tension, and so these flags, kind of thinking about this, they bring up questions of like the spectrums of erotica versus expression, or art, versus erotica, and expression versus fetishism, and celebration versus domination. So I don't intend to like offend anyone with these or minimize anyone's experiences or worldviews with these concepts, especially knowing that most of these flags came from like a male-dominated history, a white male-dominated history. And so I'm like coming from my kind of spot, and so I'm seeing this as more of an opportunity to explore taboo-ness in society, and also vexillology, notions of tabooness and recognize that we all kind of have our sexy vexy bits and to be okay with that, like we all we're all good. And
Yeah.
I definitely want to be open to feedback and corrections and enlightenment from any of the listeners. I just want to give that disclaimer as we kind of go into the innuendos.
Sure.
So I've kind of found some flags with nudity, and some of them are kind of an innuendo about stuff. A lot of them are about Lady Liberty, the concept of her, some goddesses and their nipples. We got some mermaid boobs, a lot of those. We've got some colonizer chauvinism, kind of some old historical ones, and we've got the Pizzle. So,
famous.
Feel free to jump in, Andy. If you got any thoughts. Of course, this is a very unique one. I came across dildo. It's a town in Canada.
Also, like, brief aside for the listeners, this is the, like, when Grant was emailing me about like what we're gonna do on the show, this is the one he was like, hey, you might like this. And I was like, what is it? I don't know what that says about me, but like, you're not wrong. This is hilarious. Objectively hilarious without knowing what I assume you're about to take us into. Yeah.
I know.
At face level, anyway.
I mean, talking about the principles of design, it says it has the print and the date right on it. So let's look at that. But it says dildo, really big, and it just So it has a boat and a fish and an anchor, and it was designed in 2020 by a student from a local school. So so it's a dory, traditional boat. It's a codfish and an anchor. So I was like, what the hell, dildo? The town name. And I always try to find flags in the wild. You'll see as I kind of go through these slides. I like to try to find them actually in use.
Sure. Yeah.
So here it is. But apparently the name dildo has been in the area since the 1700s, early 1700s. And the origin, of the word dildo is obscure itself. It once was used as a reference to the phallus-shaped pin stuck in the edging of a rowboat to act as a pivot for the oar, like the dole pin or the thole pin. So in the early 16th century, the cylindrical object, such as a dildo glass tube, and then kind of the phallus-shaped sex toy, and it kind of moved into an insult kind of there. So this name, the town name is old, and our notion of the dildo, the not safe for work dildo, is new. So this is a safe for work dildo. This flag,
right? Yeah, totally.
It's just the town name. So anyways,
so we should all listen to this at work without headphones.
So I think it's just cool because it's kind of like it's a modern flag that the town people were like, fuck no, this is our name. It's been like this for hundreds of years. Like, we're not going to I don't know. We're just, and it's not about that. It's a technology, the dildo. So maybe it has roots in this word and stuff, but I think it was a very interesting thing to come across.
Yeah, no, it really is. I do like the fact that they were like, so we could do it like quartered, like exactly, or we could make one of them a lot bigger. And let's do that and just put the word dildo in like some weird serif font with like shadows on the left. I don't know what you call that exactly, but like some kind of drop shadow-ish thing on the left. It really stands out more than the three other elements, I think.
Yeah, this is a very, very unique flag. So
I mean, like, I guess like you lean into it at that point, right? Like, you've got to. Like, honestly, it's probably good for tourism. Like, as long as your sign doesn't get stolen too many times, like fucking.
I hear you. That's probably a thing. I'd love to go fish in there. I'd love to go up, visit, and take a fishing boat. That'd be cool.
Yeah, there you go.
All right,
honestly,
next one.
So I would imagine in this case, since it has a. Oh, sorry.
Next one or what one?
No. We don't have to linger on the dildo for too long. I was just going to say, I assume in this point it's a fishing reference, given everything else.
Exactly.
Anyway, Orlando,
as you can see, you can just be creative with this. It's the O of Orlando. Actually, I don't. I think it's.
Yeah, do you want to describe it for
I'm
the
not
listeners?
sure that. Yeah, and there's kind of like a fountain spraying through the O. So it's just it's really centered. It's a really great design, but it just makes me think of intercourse, or like kind of some good pleasure happening. So it's a good fountain.
A fountain spraying through the O. Yeah. Yeah. Innuendo. Oh yeah, that's
check it out.
exactly where it goes.
So here is a funny one I came across. This is in the Kurgan region in Russia, and
Okay.
the author of this flag, I read this in Flags of the World, CRW flags, the database.
Yeah, I
But
just read
during the adoption of this and the discussion in Parliament, it was strongly objected against this because it's a flag. It's a white flag with a green. It's a bar through the middle, and there's two white mounds in the middle of the bar. And in Parliament, they were saying this doesn't look like the boroughs of our town. This looks like a woman swimming on her back, and alluding to breasts. And newspapers repeated it, and so it became the unofficial known flag as the woman swinging on her back flag.
Well, I love that there's like a little weasel at the bottom too. Okay, yeah. I know this one very well.
Yeah, you know this one.
Yep.
I don't know how to say it. Franco Tenoy flag up in Canada. Tenoy, thank you, in northern Canada. But it's I've seen this all around for a while. It's a polar bear on a shelf of snow with the sky or the water on the horizon, kind of looking back at a snowflake and the what is that symbol? It's the
fleur-de-lis.
Yeah. And here it is in the wild too. You can see it's flying on flagpoles and teams, organizations, taking photos with it.
Yeah, I'm glad you included those. Because
I love to see there's flags that are, vectors online that someone designs. And there's flags that actually are printed and flown. And that kind of, I think, is another level of what is a flag. But this design is very stark, very telling, or very draws me in, but it just looks like a penis. The polar bear's head just looks just like, a good one.
It doesn't look... Yeah, I mean, I'll give it that. Did they what? Do you know when this one dates from by any chance? Or
I should have gotten that, but
no, it's all good.
Yeah, the dates aren't always on my frame of reference, but
right, yeah, no, sure. I'm just wondering, I don't know. It's worth noting when this one may date from, because but I don't know how they didn't know it even back. Even say it's 100 years ago. They knew it
exactly. I know.
It's also just I mean, even aside from the weird, the vulgarity and the stuff that we're going into, the fleur-de-lis having that really big up stripe there, it seems like they could have just moved the entire fleur-de-lis up a little bit to fit the snowflake better, and then cut down on that top part.
Seriously,
but I don't know what they're.
I think there's a lot of potential with this one. Yeah,
they're probably just trying to draw the eye away from the dick bear. Hey, look how messed up this is. Maybe look over here instead.
Exactly.
Sorry, the Richard bear. The Richard bear.
Yeah.
As we'll name him.
Yeah. So that one was interesting.
Very.
Here's another one I came across in paid Estonia. Definitely definitely stretch of the imagination, but you can kind of see the cock and balls here. And it's actually, I think, two kind of limestone, or it's a tower, and they have a new flag since. This is kind of an older one, but kind of like a Minecraft or Tetris kind of cock and balls, it's like a white background with kind of two blocks and a long block. I think I found the flag in the wild here at some kind of Baltimore.
Oh, you did, but it's limp.
A sister city. Exactly, it's a sister city. Paid. I think it's an old photo, and it's not the flag of this town, Westchester or Westminster, Maryland, because I looked at their flag and it's not that. So I think this was once flown in the wild. It's not. It's a different one now in Estonia, but that's what this one is.
Yeah. It's just sad seeing it limp like that and not fully out.
Yeah. Here we go. We're getting a little back into history. This is a unity party of Hungary back in the 20s and 40s. You can just see the you can kind of see the innuendo of the sprocket and the so it's fun. Yeah.
It's weird too, because I like this symbolism. I have patches that incorporate a half a cog and a half a wheat grain around a central element, and it's usually used for socialist stuff, basically, which I'm guessing this Unity Party kind of espoused. I don't know
I
exactly,
think so. I mean,
but yeah, I do. So okay, so there's that, and then there's like what you've got at the bottom right here with the V on it. Is that a different flag, or
that's another version. That's another version I found of it. Yeah, I couldn't find any in the wild or any photos,
okay?
but just going through the
Because I mean, it
Wikipedia
makes
kind
it
of-
like almost even more clear what's happening here. Like, I mean,
yeah.
the V, like historically, I mean, V could stand for in English any number of things that we can all probably think of, but also like it's like somewhat of a fertility symbol in certain cultures as well. So like, or that like that angle, that shape. Yeah, and then the opposite, like a chevron pointing up, would be the opposite. You can imagine.
Yep.
Yeah, this is interesting.
This is one. Yep.
I don't know what the word for like victory in Hungarian is. It probably doesn't start with a V, but it could. I'm wondering, what that stands for. Maybe unity. Maybe like maybe the word for unity.
That's good. Yeah, I like that idea.
Anyway, all right, let's stick with that.
All right, here we go. Okay. You may have seen this one before. This is past innuendo. This is just blatant, and you can actually see it. I have it in the back of my screen here. I got the flag printed, actually.
I was going to say.
I'm such a fan. But this is The Simpsons. There's two flags featured in The Simpsons. First one is when Bart was trying to figure out if the toilet flushed the opposite way on the other side of the hemisphere or the equator. And he called, and long-distance phone call bills racked up or something, or he got a kid in trouble. Yeah, exactly. So then he had to go there for court or something, or for criminal stuff, and flew over there, and so this was featured in it. So because he was going to get the boot for
so for the listeners, describe that one that you just said.
So it's the Australian flag, but the stars are kind of aligned up in the top right flag corner, but around a big booty, a big naked butt, cartoon Simpsons butt, and a big boot swinging about to kick it. So definitely Bart Simpson one.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
The next one is in one episode there was a flag competition for Springford Elementary in The Simpsons, and Lisa came up with one that was to fraternal love, and her proposal, was like a sun with two people in it, and it says to fraternal love, but Bart got a hold of it and altered it, and he turned it into learn to fart, or I think he made his own.
That. Yeah. If you take off the words for if you take off love, it is learn to fart. You can anagram. Okay. Yep.
And it's just like a very well stylized butt, kind of like farting, it looks like kind of the sound waves coming out. So he just totally took Lisa's and made it into a.
Yeah. It's at the bottom. It says learn to fart in like the Simpsons font. And then like the sun itself looks like Pac-Man facing up, but asleep. But you can imagine like the line straight down the middle where the mouth would be. And then, like with 8 rays heading out and 2 people dancing on the butt.
Yep. Farting around.
Yeah. But it just goes to show like, you can, like with my flag jacket I've been creating, like you can stitch things on there and then change where you want to put them later and just unstitch it, put it somewhere else. That's definitely what Bart did with the fraternal love one into this. I don't know if that's what he does in the episode, but it's like feasible. Like anyway,
it was it's been years since I saw it, but I grew up in The Simpsons. I remember this one. It's fun.
I did too. I think it started the year after I would it started at 89 or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
All right, so we're going past
Lady
that.
Liberty.
Get into Lady Liberty. State of Virginia. We got a nipple. State of Virginia. So I guess it's kind of the Lady Liberty figure on the coat of arms of the state, and kind of like a breast exposed, bare breast, which is in a lot of kind of iconography we see. But I guess during the Civil War, she was completely covered up. You can kind of see down there. I found another version of it where she kind of had armor on, maybe. But currently, it's the nipple is free in Virginia on this flag. So I was very surprised to learn that. I hadn't known that about a state flag. Coming from the U.S. is pretty Puritan, it feels like, compared to kind of, I guess, some other cultures and countries when it comes to kind of nipples and nudity and expression and all that. So I thought this was interesting to find kind of an official nipple.
But like actually this flag says a lot about like US culture because like, well, I don't know, maybe the opposite because yeah, like you said, the nipple is not normally free. Maybe the original flag says it better, the one you've got at bottom right there. But like violence is cool, just you can't show any like nudity, like anything that like sustains life. No, anything that ends life, sure. Like, but no, it's so interesting too. Like, I mean, interesting in quotes because it's like, all right, so Virginia was cool with chattel slavery, like keeping people as slaves, as basically animals to do your bidding, but they weren't cool with the nudity, so they like covered that up. And I think that says a lot, not about just where we were at the time, but like kind of where we still are. Well, I mean, I guess They did uncover it eventually. So yeah, I don't know.
Exactly. I think that's interesting thing is, okay. Yeah. These kind of concepts of like, like flags, are kind of, representations of kind of other things and kind of like you're saying, the reality kind of, flags kind of trying to represent that, but also, not represent that, kind of be so, abstract from that at times. But I think this is a very cool contrast. You're talking about how something so normal as the nipple, on their flag, but something as horrific as slavery was, and that whole practice was not. Yeah, kind of those whole things. Were,
yeah, on the old one, yeah, it just seems weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems,
yep.
Yeah.
So that's Virginia. We also got down in Texas, San Jacinto flag from 1836, battle flag. Lady Liberty wielding a sword, and a banner that says "Liberty or Death," and the red Liberty cap on the pole. So yeah, we got some more kind of historic nipples coming out.
So do we know about the origin of this one? What's happening in Texas in 1836? I'm trying to remember. It's after they're a republic at this point, or
someone else would be able to correct me on this. There's a lot happening, I'm pretty sure, and this was battle. I think for a battalion, or I think for a battle, or I'm not sure. I looked at it before, but I was focusing on the nipples, not the.
No, yeah. No, totally. Okay, so I did look at it. I just like the date in Texas. The Republic of Texas was a sovereign state that existed from 1836 to 1846. So this would have been adopted right as they became a republic without U.S. or Mexico. Which the liberty or death thing like makes sense. Obviously,
yep.
It depends. Like, it's interesting because like it looks like she's holding the sword toward what would be the U.S., like off toward the hoist side.
If it was
but I guess
flown,
like as you carry the flag, she's pointing it away from you. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, there's a boob. And is that a Phrygian cap on top of the pole?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Very like libertine in every sense.
Definitely, yeah. Yep, so that's a historical one.
I mean, it's not like you couldn't argue that it's a great flag, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, I know. It's got a weapon on it too, yeah.
Yeah, she's interesting.
Let's see. Here's another one from New York. Chattahoochee County, New York. And we can see that it's the seal, and the female figure at the right is topless, kind of like we were talking about, the symbol of power and motherhood. And yeah, they kind of have this Roman Greco kind of feel of kind of women in great power and portrayed as topless, kind of we're seeing with Lady Liberty, and kind of I think it all kind of this design aspect maybe derives from that with these flags we've seen in the past few.
Yeah, because I think in a more sane time, like they were seen as like nourishing, like it's literally like Mother Earth in a lot of like old art, Gaia, what have you. Like it's a nourishing, just fact of life, basically, and they didn't see it as weird or as necessary. Maybe they may have seen it as sexual, but like
maybe
mostly a nourishing thing, I think. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so here's another US one. It's hard to see it though when it's flying, but it's there. Similarly, St. Vincent and Grenadine. How do you say this? I've always
Grenadines.
pronunciation. Back in the 1870s to 1900s, this was kind of the seal on the bedsheet kind of version of the British had. The two ladies symbolizing peace and justice, making an offer of peace, dressed in the classical kind of way with these bare breasts. So yeah, you can kind of see it. I found an old stamp from it, so it's been around for a while. Kind of this image. So the nipples aren't like prominent, but you can kind of see the side boob.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's one,
which sometimes isn't it?
Here's
Coventry. Okay, this is Lady Godiva or Boudica? This is Lady Godiva or both.
Yeah, totally. I guess it's an epic story. Just took a naked horse ride as a bargain with her husband to free the heavy taxes on the people.
That's what it is. Oh, I just
totally
saw
know the whole story. Yeah. So I think this is just a very very, very cool design. You can see that people are really proud of it. It's just a naked Godiva riding on her horse, and I guess it's a statue around town. So I think it was designed pretty recently, in the past 10, 15 years.
Yeah, so this is like, for the listener, it's like more or less a Canadian pale. The sides are, I don't know, sky blue, light blue. And then, just as Graham said, there's a naked lady riding a horse, kind of like in black, but with outlines facing toward the hoist side. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that one's pretty, like, if your town's known for one thing, or mostly one thing anyway, you got to put that
That's
one
kind of what flags are about, right? Designing flags. People kind of pulling out an archaeological thing, kind of a fable, a mountain range or something. But this is definitely kind of a cool history.
We're obviously not going to go into it today because it doesn't feature any of the nasty stuff that you're into, Graham. But but the flag of Nottingham, UK, it's Robin Hood, and it's Robin Hood at the center of like a cross, like with his arrow drawn.
Yeah, I think I've seen this online.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, it's the same concept. Hey, we're known for this one thing. Let's put it on the flag.
Exactly. Okay, well that is going to move us into the goddesses now. Some goddess nipples. We had some Lady Liberty, but here's one I found in Thailand.
Okay.
And it's kind of more of the seal, and it's kind of an angel goddess blessing, the people of the area. And I think this is probably in the art a lot, kind of talking about kind of tabooness in different cultures. I think there's, kind of bare-breasted women are not seen as it is like in the U.S. here, and it's kind of more common. So I thought this is interesting to find kind of, an angel goddess just kind of floating on a lotus flower in between two trees, just looking really heavenly.
Yeah. Not bad. I see it's like overlaid on the Thai one and overlaid on the like a blue shield.
The seal on the bed sheet, yep.
Yeah.
Here's one I found from Hungary. This kind of banner with this coat of arms. But Adam and Eve under it. There's kind of them under an apple tree with a snake on it, and naked Adam and naked Eve in the full flesh. So definitely reaching far back into the history, but definitely nudity on this one, full frontal.
What are they like? Did you find any kind of reasoning why it would have that, or
I'm guessing just the biblical. I think it's probably the biblical
Christian. Yeah, it is interesting that like even in the like somewhat simplified version, like all the apples are in this same spot. So is the snake. Yeah.
Hey, good point. Yeah. Yep. I guess that's Baja, Hungary. I'm used to Baja, California, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is a city in Germany, Glückstadt, if I'm saying that correctly.
The lucky city, basically. Mm-hmm. Or happy city? I don't remember.
Goddess Fortuna. Fortune. I think good fortune. And apparently the flag comes from the arms. I couldn't find the flag in a while, but I found a lot in stamps and kind of city seals. But from the 1600s, female figure representing luck. And it's also a canting or a pun of the city name. Yeah, like you kind of mentioned.
Yeah.
So
I like that. Was she
yeah, this one,
supposed to be standing on as like a coin or something?
I think so. I think you're right. And you can see in the old one, in the 1890s one, she's not standing on a coin, but you can just kind of see the
Right.
design, and I kind of see kind of the pinup girl style happened after in the 70s, one of the last ones. It's kind of like that World War II, 1940s kind of art, kind of, you know, you can kind of see the figure kind of evolve over the century, which I think is interesting, just kind of how they portray sexiness. This one definitely feels more sexy than the other goddesses.
I mean,
in
she's
Livy
literally
Livy.
ribbon dancing,
Yeah.
nude on a coin, which seems like almost like a circus act, almost type of thing.
Yeah, there's got to be some history to this special kite that she's ribbon doing too, because it looks like it's a certain
I'm
kind
guessing
of.
maybe, maybe
Yeah.
it's a.
So
Who'd you
this is
say
the
was the
good
goddess
fortune
of luck?
goddess.
Fortuna. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Here is kind of a more ancient one. We have the flag of East Frisia, East Friesland, I think, or no, that's not Friesland. Where are we? I
Yeah.
can't
I
say that
mean,
word. Ostfriesland, and
yeah.
it features the siren or the harpy or the phoenix, which of course is a legendary creature. You know, goes way back in history, but just the
Yeah.
bare-breasted kind of like eagle, kind of phoenix woman,
Yeah.
kind of in mythology and stuff. So this is featured on this one flag, but it's also in a lot of seals, a lot of pottery, a lot of ceramics.
Yeah. For the listeners, it's basically like a triband, like horizontal black, red, blue, and then with like a big unsupported coat of arms in the middle. With the harpy is top left. The other ones don't matter because that's the one we're zooming in on. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like you said, as mentioned, like I love this one you have in the middle, the from 1453, the Cirksena or Noble East Frisian family, like because like the boobs in the face are the only thing that are skin tone, and then the rest of the harpy is like that yellow, like that's I guess traditional, the yellow black or whatever on this.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that they kept the boobs skin tone, and that was definitely a design choice they didn't have to make and chose to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah,
Definitely accentuating that. Yeah.
weird.
Yep. So that one. Here's one I couldn't find much on, and I don't even know if it's a boob, but this is a boar, Egypt. This flag is from the 70s. But all I could find was this picture online, and so it's kind of a white background with these two figures, human figures with flesh-colored figures, holding a flag that has some script on it, and in the
Oh,
background is kind of a city and a palm tree. But it's like a male and a female figure holding the flagpole, and their skin, they look naked, but I can't foresee Egypt having a bare breast on anything official like this 1970s kind of. This is I think a flag. I guess the name on it says a crossing. I think it was yeah. I don't know what this flag is about or if it's even a flag.
yeah.
So this was a very mystery.
I don't know as much about Egypt in the 70s. I mean, like it definitely looks like a callback to like Egypt, in like the dynasty eras, like BC.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Back when
Cleopatra.
hieroglyphics and stuff like that were super
Mm-hmm.
common. But yeah, like I mean, like a lot of this, I don't think you'd see in contemporary Egypt, like the man and the woman being together, the woman having, and again, I don't know Egypt laws compared to other like Arab countries, but like the woman having her hair like not just free flowing, but like it's almost like a design choice that it is flowing. Is maybe I think a little different than what you'd see today. And then like them being one figure as well. But as we wouldn't be talking about it if they weren't making a point of the breast. And I do mean the pun on that.
Yeah, it's definitely a big point.
They are making a point on it.
Yeah, so I thought this was super interesting coming from Egypt, but I couldn't find this in the wild. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I bet it'd be difficult.
Here is another one. This is kind of the ring made of Aaron. We've got the Aaron Go Bra flag, that green one with the harp with the kind of goddess on the front, the bare-breasted kind of flying goddess. It's got some shamrocks. It says Aaron Go Bra. I think it's from the Civil War. I think it was a regiment from them. And you
Can
also
I
have
just-
the same. Yeah, jump in.
I'd just briefly say it looks more like Aaron's going braless.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, terrible
Aaron Go
jokes
Bra.
aside.
I hear you. That is that is it. Yeah, and this kind of instrument, this figure, the Maid of Erin topless figure on this harp is also on the kind of first Canadian flag you can see in the coat of arms.
Mhm.
And so yeah, it's just kind of it's got origins in Irish mythology of kind of the sovereignty of Ireland kind of being symbolized in this female figure playing this instrument.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you do associate Ireland with the harp, which I actually think one of the like 4 main counties or whatever they call it of Ireland. Connacht is the sword with the anyway. One of them has like it's just a harp. I think it's a blue field, but
Yeah,
I like
the
that
presidential.
yeah. They took the harp and the ancient symbol of the goddess playing it and kind of like combine them into this shape and then put like the logo or the motto in Irish, which is obviously important. They're not going to put it in Latin. They're definitely not going to put it in English, or even French, really. So yeah, I like this one. It's know it's ornate and there's like a metal clash and blah 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 whatever. But like you're not going to look at this and not know what it is either, even at a distance. So
yeah, the Aaron Go Bra one is very telling.
Yeah.
Here is another flag, the flag of Calypso. Jean Cousteau's ship, kind of. Remember what was that movie that he was kind of based after? I can't remember.
Oh,
but
The Life
anyways,
Aquatic?
Exactly. Brain farting. So apparently, he had this flag kind of designed based on the Greek myth, of kind of Odysseus and being captive on the island. So I guess this she's a symbol of the human hopes and to understand nature and to better protect it. That's kind of from their website or from his kind of his words. So yeah, this is kind of a cool one. It's a green flag, says Calypso on it, or maybe it doesn't. So there's a few different versions I found, but it's kind of a nude woman swimming with a dolphin. And I guess reaching back to that Greco myth.
Yeah, it sure is. On like a green field, yeah. So that was like his fleet all flew those?
Exact. I think, yeah, they kind of had members and it was kind of their thing, kind of their symbol.
Okay, cool. Actually, it might be a good time to take a brief commercial break and be right back with what you already previewed as Mermaid Boobs. So listener, viewer, don't go away. We've got that when we come up next. Okay, and we are back. And as you can see on your screen, we're about to get into some pretty interesting stuff. So yeah, Graham, take it away.
Yeah, we're getting into some mermaid boobs. Here we go. And how to pronounce this? Eastmond, the Netherlands. It's a town. But we got a mermaid. We've got a tribar, green, yellow, blue flag. And right in it is a big mermaid, kind of like wide arms, bare-breasted, and
she's doing big arms like Jesus in the Last Supper.
Hallelujah!
Painting.
Yeah.
Can't all do big arms.
So this mermaid, definitely from the old seal. A lot of kind of these ones are kind of the old coat of arms, kind of on the newer city flags, and I found it flying in the wild, so it sounds like it's kind of used, but yeah, it's hard to say kind of what maybe presence of seals on the coast is maybe the origins of this being used and stories of fishing.
I do think it's no, sorry, go on.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, the seal is interesting because, like, under it says X undies, which I assume means, like, without undies, which is She's taken off all the undies, and this is what it is. She's like pointing up to a Maltese cross. She's got a fleur de lis. She's a queen. She's got the crown. Like, yeah, X undies. I get it. X undies.
I get it now. I did not see that. Yeah.
See, yeah, this is why I'm
I didn't know
here.
you spoke Latin.
Oh yeah. My Latin is on point.
I think I think this is a pretty cool flag. I think it's pretty beautiful. I think it's
It is cool.
got a good design.
Yeah. I like most flags with the like element offset toward the hoist.
I hear you. That is a trick.
What?
Mhm.
Speaking of which,
all right, here's one. This is from the Netherlands as well. To say the town name is Chauvinism12. I'm totally saying it wrong. Okay, thank you. But this is a kind of a satisfying design. Check out this this kind of merman and merwoman profile. We've kind of got the top of the flag tribar. It's a more than tribar, but yellow, blue, wavy white, and a black bottom, and kind of merman and merwoman holding hands in the middle with kind of these curved tails. And I guess the legend goes is that back in the day, fishermen, she was caught in their nets, the mermaid, and so the merman was in tears and asking them to release her. So they laughed at him and wouldn't let her go. But then I guess he cursed them and said, "This will rue you, or you will rue this." And the sea swallowed the town several times and took thousands of innocent lives. So that is what this flag is about.
Oh, damn. Yeah, so that must have been before they figured out like their like dikes and dams and like all the water management systems that the Netherlands
all
has
that
now.
Technology. Yeah.
Maybe this was why. Yeah. It's like, well, we had that mermaid curse. Why don't we try and figure out some hydrodynamics over here? All it takes is a little mermaid curse usually to push you in the right direction.
Yeah. I like this flag because it's got like some movement in the design. It's very kind of feels very standard, but also very curvy at the same time. You can kind of feel the flood in it and kind of feel the curves of it. So it's a cool design.
You're talking about the waves, right? Those curves?
Yep. Kind of the
Okay.
white, blue waves. Yeah, those curves.
Although,
Here,
I mean, like, wait, linger on this slide. Like, go back to the last slide. Is it my eyes? Never mind. It's my eyes. I thought they gave the woman a little bit bigger backside than they gave the mermaid, a little more than the merman. But I think I'm imagining that.
Yeah. Okay. It looks equal.
I'm imagining a lot of things right now. So that's probably one of them. Anyway, we'll move on. So you teach kids, right? Anyway, let's move on.
So here is a municipality in Belgium, East Flanders, Waasmunster. But this is a really unique flag. We got a kind of blue and yellow flag. But on the blue side, the hoist side, is kind of this mermaid holding a big old turnip.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's I guess it comes from this epic story of a small farmer. Okay, so a king visited their town, and a small farmer came and handed the king a turnip. And so the emperor, took it and, was like, "Oh, thank you for, partying with this and giving me your best turnip." And so then I guess another guy kind of saw this, who was a horse guy, and was like, "Oh," he offered the emperor a beautiful horse. It was like, "Oh, I'm gonna step it up. I got something better than a turnip."
There was horse guys back then, not just horse girls.
Maybe, yeah. Centaur.
At different times. Go on.
So then the emperor was like, "Oh, okay, thank you for the horse. Here is a turnip, the best turnip," in response. And I guess the horse guy was embarrassed and had to accept the turnip as a symbol of kind of the emperorhood and all this. But I guess it's a sign of kind of the fertile soil, kind of a sign of kind of the land, the symbol of that.
Sure.
And this mermaid too. Yeah, I think so. I think kind of this fertility is kind of what we're looking at here.
I think so. Yeah. It's not just the like bare breasts that you were pointing out, but it's like that grip she has on the turnip is
very suggestive.
We'll just call it interesting. Yeah, suggestive. Yeah, that works too.
Yeah, totally.
And maybe it's better if we leave it at that. I think the listeners even have a pretty good view of what that one is. Oh, Karlovac.
So
Yeah, okay, I know this one. Karlovac's
you know about this one? This is
Croatia.
very big. Karlovac, Croatia. This has kind of got just a seal on a bed sheet kind of feel. It's got a teal or seafoam green background, but the coat of arms is on it. Originally from 1781, but it's got two mermaids as the supporters, and they're just full frontal, big boobed mermaids, and it's just really interesting to see this on such a this kind of art or this kind of graphic on a flag.
Yeah, they're weird
this.
supporters for a coat of arms. Like usually supporters are animals or are, I don't know, not two mermaids grabbing their hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just
I do
a contrast.
like that.
I think,
Oh no, sorry, go on.
like from Virginia or kind of the U.S. examples of having this in kind of the U.S. flags. This would never. This is just like a European thing.
Probably wouldn't fly. Do you know the significance of the 1 and 2 in the middle?
I don't.
Okay. That's worth looking up, though. This one's almost too complicated to describe to listeners, but basically it is a coat of arms that we kind of just described on a like teal background, which is an interesting color for a flag, but I'm gathering that it does come from the COA because the sky and like the bottom part of the COA is more or less this color, or probably is this color in different renderings. But yeah, that one's interesting. It's got the Croatian like red and white checkerboard, so you can't disguise that. I'm guessing the anchors mean it's like maritime or coastal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. These mermaids are. I'm gonna look at this one later when no one's. No, never mind. Anyway,
moving on. Warsaw, Poland. I guess they've got a mermaid as well, and she's a bit more of a warrior mermaid in this one. She's holding a sword with a shield kind of over her head, like she's about to wield it. So I bet there's some cool significance to this. I don't know the backstory. I didn't have time to get into that, but it's kind of it's a yellow and red flag, yellow on top, red on the bottom, with the city seal in the middle, with a crown, but also with kind of a mermaid in battle, it looks like. And something that's cool is finding this in the wild, in photos online from the city. You can see it's kind of on signs and on facades of buildings and brick, but also you can see this in the bottom right corner.
Yes,
this modern kind of, probably for some kind of
were they one of the European like centers of culture for like a certain year or something like that?
It looks like it's something like that. And so you can just see the boob line, the underboob is like totally come through all these designs.
They did make a point,
very abstract design.
Include that, yeah. And again, the flowing hair.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so that one up top middle that basically says president, is it? I can't tell because I can't zoom in on it. But it looks like there's like no hair on that. Oh, she's got it like done in a like the top left one. Never mind. Okay.
One of the versions is the bun hair, yeah.
Bun hair. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yep. Yeah, that one's very different. See, I've never been to Warsaw, but I did not know that this was their flag.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That stylized version is so cool, though. That's so cool.
I know, it's super cool. And I think they use just the yellow and red one maybe as their city flag, but I think when the coat of arms is on it, it's probably more of a official use. Here's another one from Germany. We got Wangerland, Germany.
Okay.
We got a mermaid. We got a kind of we got a similar to the last one, kind of big flowing hair, some big breast, and kind of just like a lifelike looking kind of person. It's not like the kind of supermodel kind of one we've seen in some past of the boob ones.
Yeah.
But this one it's got a white top with a bottom tri-bar or double bar, I guess, bibar. But the mermaid, the coat of arms, she's kind of pointing up into the sky. And I guess the story is this mermaid was caught by fishermen and super sad about it, asking to be released, but they refused. But she did escape. And then once she kind of did that, a storm destroyed the village and pretty much everyone was killed by a flood. And so the survivors kind of had this legend as the Revenge of the Mermaid. So that's kind of the origin of this coat of arms and flag.
That is super interesting, especially because like given the colors, and I know we have a few to go through, but like so I'll keep it short. But given the colors, I assume this may be Bavarian, but it's not. It's like right, like for our listeners, like it's basically like right on the corner or right on the border of like Frisia, which is Holland, I think, and well, which is Holland. But yeah, like it's right on the border of whatever sea that is, North Sea. Yeah, but the colors look Bavarian. But yeah, she's holding her belly and pointing one up, and yeah, this
definitely
looks different.
Looks powerful. Looks wise. Looks like yeah. She's not messing. She's in an okay mood because she's not messing around. Okay, moving on.
All right. So what category are we in now?
Colonizer chauvinism. There's some historic ones that are probably like pretty racist and like just from like terrible kind of oppression and slave and raping and pillaging. I'm sure this is so, but this is just the kind of history of it. So kind of in
like every
Brazil,
flag you're about to show me is like why Minnesota changed their state flag.
Yes, I hear you.
Anyway, continue.
I know, yeah. So a lot of these are going to come through are kind of South American kind of ones from the 1800s that kind of show Native women as supporters in the coat of arms. And a lot of times, they're kind of bearless and often with a male on the other side too. So you can see this is somewhere in Sao Paulo. It's Aguas de Lindoa. Oh yeah, that's her name. I think the Indian girl that is from the description from Heraldry Wiki. But you can kind of see just how it's kind of, you can tell who designed this. Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it, but it's still in use today. I see the coat of arms is kind of on their 2020 tourist or official municipal kind of journal. So it's not a problem, apparently. It's still in use in the town. Another one is Jamaica, back in 1906 to 1957. And, it's the kind of the British, with a UK up in the Canton seal on a blue bled sheet kind of thing. But I guess this seal from Jamaica, a male and female member of the Taino tribe, standing on each side of the cross, of the red cross with some pineapples in it. So this is kind of the old coat of arms of the British monarchy, and we'll kind of be seeing some more of these too. That just this was kind of depicted.
What's how would you say out of many one people in Latin?
I don't know that.
I mean, it's literally e pluribus unum. Like,
oh, I hear you.
It's just funny that yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, I mean, we think of that as like a uniquely American thing, but like we shouldn't. Anyway, go on.
Good catch,
no, I don't have a whole time to. Yeah. Oh, whoa. Okay. Yeah. Let's move on to this one.
Yeah. Here's Flag of Grenada, 1875 to 1903. Similar layout of the kind of the British monarchy flags around all these islands. But this is just a terrible flag because it's the sugarcane press or cane mill moved by oxen and slaves were there, and there's a topless kind of slave. There's kind of four people in this kind of pushing this machine around with oxen, crushing the sugarcane, and a topless woman is one of the slaves. And this was just a terrible history of the blood sugar cane mill, I guess, because a lot of these enslaved people would lose their hands and get trampled and die with this tech just to get sugar out.
What a choice. What an absolute choice. Because this is the kind of like history that like, no, absolute offense. This is the kind of history that like Florida wants to teach. Like, hey, they learned some skills while they were down there being chattel slave. Like, to put that on a flag is fucking wild. I know it was 1875, but like 1875, the listener and viewer may notice as 10 years after the American Civil War. Now, granted, that didn't cover Britain, but, you know, Britain outlawed slavery before the U.S. did. And this is happening on the flag. That is fucking wild to me that you would like brag about that. Or like, for lack of a better word, I mean, yeah, that's kind of what you're doing, right? You're trying to like, I get the gist of it is like, you're trying to say like, okay, Grenada was built by these folks or whatever, but you're leaving out a bit of why it was built by these folks. And maybe that's just my interpretation, but like, damn. Yeah, that one's like,
this is
rough.
a terrible flag design wise, and just the terrible history of it.
Yeah, in every way. We'll move on.
Here is another one, Venezuela, the mother flag of Venezuela back in 1810s, when kind of Venezuela claimed independence from Spain. And it kind of is up in the canton is kind of a depiction of a native female holding a lance with a Phrygian cap on it, but she's kind of bare-breasted. She has a quill and a bow and arrow. She's got a branch of something. There's a crocodile right next to her, a rising or setting sun on the ocean. It's pretty epic, but I kind of wonder what the origins of this art was or design, but I came across this and thought it was interesting.
I'm wondering if it comes from like because they were part of Gran Colombia. Well, but that was from 1821, so yeah, this would have been before that. Yeah. Okay, so the colors existed for like the yellow, blue, red, but they distinguished themselves.
I guess so.
This mother flag. I mean, yeah, like we said, like it makes sense as a symbol of like fertility, of giving, of literally like the mother country kind of thing, like in countries that have it as a matrilineal, or, you know, at least have the word as a matrilineal thing. Yeah, this makes sense. And 1810, they would have, I'm guessing, been drawing on the US flag and certain other flags that had a certain thing in the upper canton, like that distinguished it from other similar flags. And this would have been one very detailed way to do that. And with boobs. So,
with boobs, and it's got a lot of the same elements of the Texas San Jacinto battle flag that we looked at a few minutes ago with the Lady Liberty, bare-breasted and kind of with the cap, the Phrygian cap, and all that. So yeah, a lot of that symbolism coming through. Here's another one,
and like for
the Bolivia,
for listeners, like just in case the listeners aren't aware, like the Phrygian cap is, if you've ever seen Liberté guidant le peuple, liberty leading the people, in the French painting by Delacroix, it's the one where like the bare-breasted lady, again relevant to this, is like either holding or wearing, I forget, like a Phrygian cap, which was basically a cap that goes back to like the Roman times that signified a free person. Like they were maybe had been a slave, but no longer were. So they had this Phrygian cap. And so like on flags like this, like Marianne in France, a couple other that we've discussed, like this Phrygian cap basically means liberty and freedom from like the mother country. So it's interesting, like you see it in like the Venezuela one, a couple other ones that like had just broken free, and they use it as a symbol of that freedom from the mother country, I guess is the best way to put it. And sorry, I'm dragging on too long. I know we got to get to more, but it's just very interesting to me that a lot of them share this element.
I know it's a good point, and I think it's kind of just the juxtaposition of it, that their freedom, you know, represents, but not probably the Taino people and the native people that it's representing.
Sure, yeah. I mean, freedom is. I mean, look at the U.S. right now. Freedom is relative.
Yeah. So that's what I think is interesting about these layers of kind of symbolism.
Yeah,
who they represent. Here's another one, the Bolivia state. I guess back in the day, this is dang, I didn't put the date down for this one, but this is kind of like a yellow flag, green circle in the middle, 3 blue bars going through it with how many stars? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
8.
6, 7, 8.
Like,
And then the coat of arms, or kind of a coat of arms up in the Bolivarian coat of arms, consisting of a great rock, which I guess is a kind of a well-known kind of the middle of the river stone in the capital of the state, and on the rock is a female, as kind of with two jars, like a two-handled jar pouring water into the river, so kind of symbolizing the flow of Orinoco.
wait. You can't say that Orinoco Flow. Is this literally Orinoco Flow? The
It
song.
looks like it.
Holy shit. So this is where Orinoco Flow comes from.
I think so.
That
I
is
don't know that
wild.
song.
Okay.
I'll have to listen to that.
I didn't. You don't know that song? You know the shoot, who is it? Who's the like Enya, right? The like
Oh, I would know
traditional
this.
Irish, like
You're right.
look it up after, look
Nice.
up Orinoco Flow and you'll know what it is. Or you do now.
Interesting. Good connection, yeah.
That is interesting.
But,
also, like
yeah.
of a very, very brief note, it's got that like eye that like conspiracy theorists in the US attribute at the top of the pyramid on like the $1 bill or whatever. That triangle eye that people think is like, oh, Masons or like Illuminati or whatever the fuck they think. And then she is literally starting the Orinoco Flow. That's such an interesting element. Like it's basically saying like the entire Orinoco River, which is very important to the region, stems from this goddess or this this goddess. So that's a cool like origin story, like mythical. Yeah. It's very cool. Very cool. It does look like pee because it's all yellow, but other than that.
Yep.
Maybe the river is very sedimenty.
Here we go now. Baja, California. Check out this. This design was made in the 50s, and it's like a white flag with kind of the coat of arms or kind of a city crest on it. But within the crest, you have kind of a male figure and woman figure clashing their fists together with like such power that lightning bolts are coming out. And the male's holding a book, the female's holding, I think, some mathematical tools and medical tools, symbols. But you can see the nipple slipping through. Definitely intentionally drawn, like right there. And we got also is a kind of a priest down at the bottom, and kind of some industry technology and some agriculture and the waves and the ocean. So it's very busy. Very busy.
This looks like a labor union flag.
Well, seriously, it has that.
But it looks like a labor union flag.
Art.
Like like a lot of the electrical workers union. I mean, not every local, but like a lot of them have like that like hand grabbing the lightning bolts thing, and then like at the bottom, like it almost looks socialist. You've got the factory workers on one side and the agricultural workers on the other side, which are mirrored in that thing you said earlier with the cog wheel and the grain going through it. I mean, it's the same symbolism done differently. And there's a cactus to throw in that it's clearly in Mexico. There's a couple fish on the side for fishermen / maybe religious. She's got like the wrong staff. She's got like the staff of Hermes, I think, instead of the one like the correct one is supposed to have one snake, but I mean, maybe this is not medical and she's supposed to have that. Like a book and like learning. The top says like work and justice.
There's a lot of
this looks very socialist, honestly, this flag. Or this
a lot of intentional details in this.
Yes.
And the nipple slip is one of those intentional details.
Intentional, yes.
Very interesting.
If they didn't want to draw that, they wouldn't have.
Exactly. The man doesn't have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really that one's interesting for a lot of reasons. Never seen it.
Yeah. Yep, me neither. I couldn't find it in the wild. So I don't know if it was ever really used, but 1956 is what I found out about it.
Yeah, we'll look into that as a group. Okay, and I knew we were going to get to the Pizzle. Part. Had to.
We're here.
We're finally here. So I know one that's going to pop up. No pun it. Well,
Yep, we're gonna raise some flags on this last one.
This one has okay. I knew this was the civil flag of Luxembourg.
Yeah, this one has the
Is that a?
rampant lion. Is it a pizzle? Definitely looks like.
It looks like a pizzle. It looks like
It definitely looks like one. Yep, this lion. Yeah,
see, the thing is, I've been to Luxembourg. I've been to Luxembourg, like where I lived in France was right next to Luxembourg, like so close that a lot of the people I knew worked in Luxembourg because of like tax reasons or whatever. And I've seen this flag plenty. I've never noticed that. Either I've never noticed that, or on the actual ones that they print and fly, they don't have that. But it's more likely the former. It's more likely I've just never noticed it.
We're gonna get into that. Yeah, kind of printing it and kind of that's what's interesting about the pizzle coming up on these on these old ones with the lions and the animals. So yeah, we got the flag.
Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, and for the listener, by the way, it's a flag with a bunch of horizontal stripes. It looks like 5 white, 5 light blue. The light blue is the same as like the Luxembourg flag that you do know. And then the lion rampant in the middle is wearing a crown with his tongue out. I forget what that's called. And he's the red from the Luxembourg flag, and he's apparently packing. So.
Yep. He's a big beast.
Hey.
We've got it again. This is kind of a historic one. The Kingdom of Debenarth, which I think existed, somewhere around Europe back in the 900s, 1000s kind of. But you can see we also got kind of the pizzled lion rampant.
Yeah.
Again.
Not as detailed, but that is one detail they made sure to add.
Yep.
They were like, all right, we can like fudge like the tail and like the head, but like make sure you add the dick and also the balls.
I know. Yeah.
How do you mark an episode double explicit? Anyway,
double flagged. Yeah.
I'll figure it out later. Yeah.
We'll double flag this for content.
That one's interesting. Never seen that one.
All right, we're coming into burn, which you don't have burn on the back in your foreground right now, do you?
I don't. But we did go into this the last episode with Elijah.
Yeah, I was just going to say with Elijah.
Was also at Napa 57, yeah.
And that's why I kind of looked a little bit more into this one to find New Bern, North Carolina. So we got the Pizzled Bear from Switzerland and North Carolina. And of course in Bern, it's a famous one with kind of the red and yellow flag with that bear with the gold tongue sticking out and the red member down there. Red claws, red tongue, red member, red pizzle. But the New Bern, North Carolina, which I just heard, with you talking with Elijah, and I was like, oh, I got to look into that. And so I looked into New Bern, and they don't have the pizzle in North Carolina. And you can see, check out this old one I found. Because you can see actually in Bern, Switzerland, it's flown. You can see the pizzle is still flown in the city. The flag is printed with the pizzle. But in New Bern, North Carolina, which uses the same flag pretty much, they don't do the pizzle even as early as 1910s when they had a celebration. So the pizzle's never been on in New Bern, North Carolina.
Do we think it's possible that the new in New Bern is short for neutered? Because this could be a neutered Bern flag. I mean, it literally could be that.
Yeah, it is that.
It is that in design.
Yeah. That is what happens.
Because otherwise, like you said, it's identical. Like there's a little black band on the Bern one that there isn't on the New Bern one. But other than that, it's
that. So I think that just kind of is an interesting thing about kind of the U.S. and European kind of views of taboo-ness or the sexy Vexi bits that we all have, and what's it's just a different thing. So I thought this was a kind of an interesting Stark thing. Mm-hmm. But kind of with that, also in Swiss, there's a lot of langed and pizzled gills, of all these tongues and penises on animals.
Langed, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. It's just a common thing, I think, in heraldry. And, just here's a bunch of flags for the listeners, just of goats and lions and bears. kind of all
Oh
up in
my.
stance and with their tongues out and penises out. But yeah, it's just kind of, I think, all part of that fierceness, kind of that, just kind of that warness or that battle, that competition
Yeah.
that kind of comes with territory and this whole kind of old school flag design and heraldry
Yeah.
design.
I mean, yeah, I was going to ask you what it's about, but I mean, you pretty much laid it out there, and it's I guess pretty self-explanatory. It's like it's this like hyper masculine view of like, hey, like we're the strongest in the area, which not only means like we have a bear or whatever rampant, and the rampant implies coming at you, but it's always toward the hoist. And then the pizzle is like just a little extra, like, hey, if you weren't sure, check this out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a bear; it's a hard ass bear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was interesting to see this on a lot of
Pizzly
stuff.
grizzly, if you will.
That is definitely what's going on.
Oh man, yeah, there's a lot there. I don't typically see it on Lions as much for some reason until you brought it up with the Luxembourg one and that one and this one that you just brought up.
Yeah, the Nordic Battle Group, which I guess is kind of a UN security kind of group, I guess, in the Nordic Battle Group. But this is an interesting story because their patches, show a lion rampant with the pizzle.
Yeah.
But back in 2007, the commander, he had a new design. The new design on the patches was altered by removing the pizzle, and he did this on his own without even consulting anyone because he had just read kind of the UN security resolution on women, peace, and security. And, with civilian women being victim to a lot of sexual abuse in war zones, the commander said he didn't consider the male appendage an appropriate symbol for his troops to wear into battle. So there was a big upcry about it from heraldrists and all that. And the pizzle was reinstated after he was informed that, I guess, historically, coat of arms containing lions without genitalia were given to those who betrayed the Swedish crown. And so we've got a big mix of kind of priorities here and values with this is really interesting and like kind of both sides are right. That like the pizzle is not like a piece, I don't know, or like kind of in this battle. Yeah, it's definitely a terror. The raping and pillage of everything makes sense, but kind of this historic context of the pizzle being demasculated and given to people who betrayed the Swedish crown, really, really weird, really old. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that.
So just kind of a modern example of that. And with that too is also whales.
Can you real quick read that top line for our listeners?
Yes. So there is,
and put it maybe into context or not.
Yeah. Here's the context. There is a petition online demanding that all depictions of our dragon in Wales have a penis. And because you all know that the famous Wales flag with the dragon and all that. And I guess historically it was pizzled.
And we all know that dragons, real life dragons, actually do have gigantic hogs. So
the real life ones,
real life dragons do, yeah.
So it's a big deal of
I'd say it's a big deal.
It's a big deal of people wanting it on and people wanting it off. Of kind of the new coins, these patches, all this stuff. So
no, yeah, that is interesting. I did not know that because like you see like I mean like, and I talked about it with Charles from Mr. Flag as well. Like he was talking about how like the traditional Welsh flag, like really the one that I have, because I got it from wherever, is not accurate. His is more accurate or more like true to what it's supposed to be. But I think even his is not pizzled.
I hear you. Yeah. Some people care about it.
Some
people really care about it. Yeah.
I didn't know they had a 20-pound coin, by the way.
I know. I don't know. I found that kind of on this website, this petition one. So there's a lot more to read about. Here we go. This is almost pizzled. Maybe you've seen this pirate flag of Walter Kennedy and it's kind of the skull and crossbones on a back flag, but there's also a member, like a human figure, holding a sword and an hourglass, sand glass, and he's naked. And I found kind of some other maybe renditions of it where maybe he's clothed, but apparently this lore comes from pirates stripping naked when attacking others as a tactic to really freak them out and scare them, is what I've read. And so that's why this pirate flag has a nude guy.
I mean,
without a penis, but it's kind of implied.
I could see it. I mean, honestly, I don't know if it would scare me so much as just throw me the fuck off. I'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Stop everything. What's happening? And by the time I was saying stop everything, I'd have my head cut off.
I think that's what that point of it. Yeah, Walter Kennedy. Yeah. So, and
yeah,
we're coming to our last one. Check out these kind of flags and banners from a harvest festival in Japan, the Honen Festival, the Tagajinja Honen Matsuri Festival. I'm totally jacking that up, which sorry about that.
Well, Graham, that changes everything. And I mean everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
That was one hell of a break. Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
What do you got on this next slide here that I have definitely not seen before?
Well, this is the final Pizzle. If you see this right now.
Final Pizzle.
Exactly. This is the flag or banner with the big Pizzle. As you can see, this is a harvest festival that happens in Japan, and it's a fertility festival. And we just got some big schlongs going on these banners, and big wooden carve outs and big parades, and it is just right in your face, right in big, and there's no shame, there's no like weirdness maybe about this. I don't know. It's just such a contrast to see this out in the public compared to kind of just, I don't know, my upbringing and my context.
Yeah, more like puritanical kind of American stuff, I guess. But yeah,
exactly. So I was just really surprised, and I think it's awesome to, kind of celebrate fertility and all our body parts, and just how normal it is for us all to kind of, have these penises and breasts and everything, and nudity. So I think kind of like, waving your freak flag, this is kind of, it's not freaky. It's normal. It's not a freak flag here, I guess. It's kind of a regular festival that happens. So I just thought it was super interesting to come across this flag and to learn about this festival, and I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I will note, like, for the listeners, the viewers can see it, but like at the bottom there's like a link that says something about phimosis and circumcision in Japan. Is this like, does this have to do with circumcision? I didn't notice that
I think so.
We definitely didn't talk about this.
Yeah, I think so. I think the source that I got these photos from, he was kind of doing a blog about kind of that stuff. So yeah, I don't know the details about that totally. I was just kind of like, oh, this is the flag. This is what I'm. So I'm definitely gonna keep reading more about it. But yeah, I'm not sure about the culture of circumcision or not in Japan.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, but that's definitely kind of, I think, a big kind of underlying question about this too. About kind of what pieces do you cut? What do you keep of a penis? What do you not keep in a flag? What pieces are not acceptable or acceptable depending on where you are. So I think this is just a really interesting thing to come across, and I'd love to see it someday in my life. Go to this festival.
Yeah, for sure. This is definitely a lot. I mean, yeah, to your main point of you wouldn't see this in the US, like, man, they like it's such a weird, like, for the listeners, come look at the show notes because there will be the slideshow completely in there. But Yeah, they like mix like hyper realism. Well, actually, I guess it is pretty realistic, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like all the veins are kind of.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess
it
they're
is.
not gratuitous. I mean, I guess that's just realism.
It's really accurate. Yeah.
It's yeah, upsettingly.
Yes. So this is the last flag in the slideshow that I have, and so yeah, this is it. This is kind of my
All right, yeah,
thoughts about it all. Like yeah, it kind of concludes, and I guess my kind of final thoughts. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Are like kind of what would be in the vexillological sphere, what would be the nude beach? Kind of the flags that like aren't really allowed in public. I guess there's kind of
right,
some
yeah,
genocidal flags, and some kind of violent flags, but I think yeah, kind of what symbols, what things aren't allowed or aren't vexillologically accepted.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm thinking. The comparison of this.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
mean,
What are your
like I think
thoughts?
you said at some point, like yeah, kind of like taboo in certain cultures, but not others, kind of thing. Like, I mean, yeah, to end on that, since it's fresh in our minds, that Japanese one, like yeah, that wouldn't fly anywhere over here, outside of like I don't know, even a nudist colony would probably have like a different one than that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
not worth getting too much into. We've got to start winding down now. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Grant, given everything that you've talked about today, I'm sure folks are going to be clamoring to know where they can find you, follow you, all that good stuff, and kind of see what you're working on. So give us the skinny on that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, like I said, I'm a learner. I don't. I probably made some um, oversimplifications or missed some things, and I'm not doing this to kind of say that I'm right or I know everything, but I just wanted to kind of organize these flags that are kind of playing with that taboo-ness of nudity and
Mhm.
sexuality. So yeah, so you can reach me at Artemis the Provincial. You can put it in your show notes. My email, Artemis the Provincial at gmail.com is kind of my
Okay.
vexillological flag name. And yeah, I'm down to kind of be corrected. I'm down to learn. I'm down to be redirected and told kind of if I missed anything or oversimplified or didn't give credit to anything. So yeah, feel free to contact me if you kind of know of other flags or have some other thoughts to share with me. I'd love to hear it.
Well, right on, man. Yeah, I will put all that in the video version on the screen, and for listeners and video watchers, I will put it in the show notes as well, including, like I said up top, the slideshow for all this, which, especially for you audio listeners, you are going to want to check out the show notes. Again, as I said in the intro, but yeah, you can follow along that way. And yeah, you can correct Graham that way because apparently he doesn't mind it like I do. So,
I love the feedback.
yeah, no. I do love the feedback as well. But okay, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I've got, our plugs are all at Linktree/flagged for content. Anywhere where there are at signs, we are at flagged for the number 4 content, smack dab in the middle. And I think I only had one other thing to do. Oh yeah, I was gonna close the show. I think my notes are in the other room, dude.
Uh,
That's bad news.
uh,
Is there
well,
any kind of like possible way
um,
in all the
yeah, I guess that's weird, man. Okay.
so weird.
I guess I could wish everyone to have a flagging awesome day, you know, and keep on doing your thing. Fill the day with good stuff.
Hell yeah, man. I like that good positivity to close things out here. Well, and you guys, yes, thank you so much for listening. Graham and I will be on the Patreon for episode 47.5 for those of you who are patrons. For you and for everyone else, thank you so much for listening. This has been yet another fantastic episode of Flagged for Content.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Catch y'all on the fly side. Flagged for Content is a Flags for Good podcast. Go to flagsforgood.com for more info.